שלום. במשך שנים נחשבה קנדה ליעד מועדף לרילוקיישן, להגירה, ובעיקר להתחלה חדשה למהגרים ממדינות רבות בעולם, כולל מישראל. אבל האם עדיין קנדה בראש הרשימה? האם יש קשר בין שינויים גלובליים לכמות בקשות ההגירה? בדקות הקרובות אנחנו נדבר על זה. האם זה הזמן לעבור מדינה, לעבור לקנדה? ואם כן, באיזה מסלול ואיך בכלל מתחילים? וגם, מה היעד הפופולרי ביותר כיום בקרב ישראלים המחפשים התחלה חדשה? נמצאת איתנו היום הגברת ג'יין קטקובה, מהבעלים של משרד קטקובה שירותי הגירה, עוסק מזה כבר 20 שנה בהגירה כהשקעה למדינות רבות בעולם, ועכשיו אני אעבור לאנגלית. Hello, Jane.
Hello, how are you, Ronan?
Fine, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you as a guest here on Perspective. Jane, first question I'd like to ask you before we even start to talk about immigration. For many years, Canada was the ultimate location, I would say, for people considering immigration. Is it still the same?
First of all, thank you for having me. Canada maintains its status of one of the most desired locations, destinations in the world. However, of course, the world is changing, and it's changing at a very fast pace. And lately, I am noticing a lot of interest in such European countries as Portugal, as Malta, Greece, as well as people are looking for the second plan B, and they are getting passports to the countries of the Caribbean region. But still, and nevertheless, Canada is definitely one of the most desired and looked at destinations in the world.
Wow, so you're saying Portugal and Greece, so it seems like people are changing from the winter weather to a warmer weather. Jane, in the next 25 minutes, we will talk about immigration, relocation, and global mobility of people that it looks like to me, and I'm not an expert, you're the expert, but it looks like that global changes are maybe changing trends. So to our viewers, I recommend to bring a nice cup of coffee to spend with us for the next 25 minutes. Here we go. And thank you for returning here. We're back here with Jane Katakova, an expert in global mobility. Jane, first thing, what is global mobility?
Global mobility is a very new phenomenon that we're observing in the world, where people have found ways of working from different locations of the world, and they are looking into relocating themselves to where they feel better, to where the full scope of what is happening is more fit to their desires and to their interests. So the world has changed, as everybody knows, as every citizen of the world knows today, and people are moving. People are moving from the places of their birth. People are moving from the places where they have immigrated. I'm sure that a lot of Israelis know that people are moving to Israel and out of Israel. So now, being a Jew, what I am noticing that people are moving to Israel, out of Israel, let's say to Canada or to the US, and then they are moving further to Europe, to the countries where it's warm, to where they feel that they will make a better living, not because they will make more money, but because while they will be making money and working on a distance, they will be enjoying the beautiful location, beautiful weather, everything is close by, they don't need to travel far. So the people are moving at an incredible pace, and that's what global mobility is today.
Recently, there's a new trend, like you said in the opening, of people not only from other countries, but even from Canada, that are considering relocating to warmer countries like Greece or Portugal. Now, let's focus on Greece because it's a very desirable location for Israeli people, for my audience. What are the options for people who are thinking to move to live in Greece, whether they live in Israel or whether they live here in Canada?
Okay, it's always these countries, they because they are looking to improve their financial stability, they are kind of selling their residence for investment, right? So you have to bring certain amount of money to be able to be eligible for the residency permit in the
How
country.
much money?
Okay. Residency or gold in Portugal, it's a golden visa. So it's usually in the area of over $200,000. Okay, so
To Greece.
to Greece as well. Yeah.
And that money is supposed to go to business, or I can buy a house with that money?
These countries, they always have a business option, but it's better if you buy a title, if you buy a property.
So if I have extra $200,000, I can take that money, buy a property in Greece, anywhere in Greece, by the way, or only the mainland?
There are restricted areas,
Okay.
and these regulations are changing all the time. So, for example, there were no changes in Greece recently, but in Portugal, effective January of this year, they have restricted the areas qualifying for the golden visa program to the areas which are not very close to the water. Okay, because there's such a crazy interest in the country. So
not very close to the water?
To the water, yeah, because everybody.
Really? Everybody
Yes,
wants to move close to the water.
Yeah, but so that's why they restricted the qualifying areas away from the water, because on the water they don't want to bring the investors anymore. So now if you want to qualify for the program, you have to go inland, not coastal. Okay.
Same in Greece?
So, in Greece today, there are no limitations. Recently, there were no limitations. So far, we can get good title. I call
property,
a house, right?
A house, yeah.
Otherwise, we have investments to properties. So that is a different notion in this relocation. So either as a title, then you can choose today. Today, Greece is still okay.
And once a person invests in a property, buy a house, for example, for 200,000 or more or less, or well, not less or more, they get they can work there as well, and they get what? They get a passport, citizenship. How does it work?
So these countries don't give you a passport. They first give you the permission to reside. Golden visa is just the visa to be in the country. In 5 years, you can apply for permanent residence, and in a year, and permanent residence, and at the same time, you can apply for citizenship. So technically, in 6 years of living or not living in Portugal, you can have a European status.
I can buy the property and not actually move there, but just it's under my name.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. So, but these countries don't offer you the passport. Okay. Same as with Greece. It's a step-by-step process. So, but they will allow you to live. They will even, if Israelis are interested in the taxation, and I know the taxes are very high in Israel, you will be qualifying for the taxation advantages of the country where you reside. You have to build residence in the country with a favorable taxation process. Okay, so if I don't know about Israel, but I know that for Canadians, in case they want to relocate for tax purposes, they need to physically establish residence in Portugal. I always explain to them that it's one thing to get the residency to your hands. It's another thing to actually satisfy the Canadian government that you are not a Canadian resident for the purposes of the taxes, right? And this is not my expertise.
Of course, that's a tax expert.
Yeah. My expertise is global mobility, but we have these beautiful tax experts we can always introduce our clients, and we do, and they build this strategy with money. So we build the strategy with relocation, they build the strategy with money.
And the client gets a 360 solution basically for all the purposes.
Very often people do it for tax purposes. Not only they move out of, let's say, states or Canada with these beautiful, very powerful passports, the most powerful passports in the world, they keep them. But they're figuring out what to do with their taxation, how they will benefit in terms of paying their taxes. Because in most of these countries, the tax regime is much more favorable than in the countries of North America. Also, Caribbean is just no tax on the global income.
And before we start to talk about the different ways to immigrate and locations, would you mind if I ask you a personal question?
No, please go ahead.
Can you share, you mentioned before that you are Jewish, and we talked earlier on the phone, and I know that you have strong empathy to Israel. Can you share with us a little bit about your personal immigration story?
So actually, my personal immigration story is very well directed to my Jewishness, because I'm from Latvia, and I was doing really very well, and I was in business, and I had a very good education when the world started to change, and when the anti-Semitism has reached its peak. So I absolutely knew that there's no way that I can be remaining in the country. So I had to get out. I knew absolutely that I had to get out of the country. I had to get out of the country. I had a 2-year-old daughter who I wanted to have a brighter future. There was not much option for me. I had an invitation to Canada from friends, and it was a very, very serious decision, because I was heading to Canada without a status. So I was just coming as a guest. It was a 2-year-old kid, and I didn't know, I knew barely anybody here. So wow. Jewish Immigrant Aid Services was the organization which actually assisted me with getting a status, and eventually kind of launched my career in the world of immigration law. So, but it was a very, very well weighted and sort of decision that I have made, and my daughter thanked me many times for that decision, and I thanked myself for that decision. Despite my beginning in this country was very, very hard. I was starting to sleep on a mattress from a garbage.
Really?
Because I had really, yeah.
Wow. And look at you today. More than 20 years later, you have a successful firm office downtown in Toronto, which is basically helping other people to fulfill the same dream for a better life. You said something about planning. And I know from my personal immigration story that for us, it took 3 years of planning to move here to Canada. What is the first step for people that are now watching our show and considering about relocation, a better life in a different place? What would you say is the first step in a correct and right planning of this process?
You know, I deal very often with people who have made bad plans or who have been advised in a bad manner. And my biggest advice to everyone who is listening and who is interested is to really, before you make a decision as to what you are going to be doing, you need to know for sure. Use your own intelligence. Not only find yourself a good counsel, but also use your own intelligence. Read. Okay, read, understand whether or not you are really fitting into the program that you were offered. And when they get educated, when they educate themselves, when they understand better about the plan, about the strategy, then they go ahead. Strategy is everything. Good strategy is the one that you have to be aspiring for, to feel comfortable. Now, also, when you have a good strategy, you understand timing, right? So you understand timing. You understand that things will not happen overnight. So usually understand. So this time will take to prepare the case. This time it will take to file the case. This time will help to have the case processed. So you can plan your time.
We talked about planning. We talked about research. Again, I would like to take it even to another place of the initial decision, because again, talking from my own experience, when my wife and I decided to try a new path outside of Israel, we had many options. We had Australia, we had Canada. In Canada, there was Toronto or Winnipeg or Halifax. There were so many options, and we are obviously not professionals like you are. So sometimes it's hard for people to take decisions because also they don't have all the information like you as an expert has. So when do you think is the right time to talk to a professional?
Listen, you know, my answer to this question is always the same. If I want to repair my shoes, I immediately, when they need to be repaired, if I am planning to wear them 3 days later, I am getting them to a shoemaker who would fix them properly. Okay, if I want to do my nails, I do the same. I don't do it myself because I'm not sure I'm the best manicurist, right? So research, ask your friends, research for a specialist, okay? Look up the Google reviews. I do it when I go to see a doctor. So you know how you're looking for a good doctor, or you know how you're looking for a good hairdresser, right? Or a seamstress. Okay, you either ask for reference or you can look it up. And today, in today's world, there are Google reviews.
Let's talk a little bit about the different routes within immigration. So let's start with Canada, because my viewers are interested in Canada, obviously. But after that, we will talk about the other options you mentioned. An Israeli that thinks about moving out of Israel to Canada, what, in terms of right now, 2022, what is the best and most possible route to start the process?
Okay, so this is a very, very generalized question to which I cannot give an intelligent answer. What I think would be best if I offer you these stories about my Israeli clients that we are working right now with, okay?
Okay.
Just one program by program, okay? So first of all, the main program that usually Israelis are using, which is a skilled worker program, they are for the people who are preferably under 32 years of age. They are preferably with very, very good English, with master degree, okay? And these people are going through the express entry skilled worker, and usually, because they speak very good English, they don't need us. So this is an absolutely minimal amount of cases that we handle, because people can handle them themselves. They can buy if they have no time whatsoever, and if they don't want to make any mistakes, because now it's all practically automated and without knowing the system very well, or having time to put into it, they might say, okay, we have this express services program where we don't upload, but we just advise, right? So we advise on all the steps to make sure that they are good. Okay, but usually they do it themselves. Next plan for the Israelis is, and I'm going from the smaller to the higher, is when they send here their kids. So right now, 2 days ago, we got our client from Israel who came to Canada. The reason he came he's 21 years of age, sorry. His parents are back home. His aunt and uncle are here. So he wanted to come to Canada. He did his military service, so he's free to go. He doesn't have an education. So I said, come to Canada. Let's do your study permit inside the country. Because when we do it inside the country, I have almost a guarantee that I will get you a study permit, okay? Because if you apply for the study permit through the Tel Aviv, to the Canadian embassy in Tel Aviv, there might be refusals. If we go inland, it's practically.
So he actually came in as a tourist, and from here as a tourist, you start the process. But this is good, you say, for educational visas, not for family.
But after I'll address it in a second. After this kid would do his short language program, I will get him a study permit. He is going for 2 years to school. Mm-hmm. After 2 years, we're going to keep him on the postgraduate work permit. In the same time, we have a plan. His uncle has a business. His uncle will hire him. He'll do the job offer for him. He's going to immigrate. Now, when there are all the couples, right? And they want to come to Canada right away. And let's say there is a wife and there's a husband and there are 2 kids. So I would see what I would understand about, let's say, the wife. The wife speaks better English. The husband needs to work. So we will make the plan, targeted to the wife as the principal applicant. So we're bringing them here. First we're bringing the wife. We are getting her the study permit. We can always reason the necessity to study for a person who is older. We can not always, but a 99%. Not, of course, not when the person is 75 years of age, it will be harder. But when the person is younger, 39, when there's no chance to immigrate directly, unless they have a job offer, right?
Yeah.
So we will bring the wife. We will get her a study permit. When the wife has a study permit to study at the program, the husband and the kids arrive on a visitor visa because you guys Israelis and you're visa exempt. So you're all coming here. When the mom is in school at the program, the kids go to public school for free right away. The husband applies for the work permit and receives it. So here we are. They are not immigrants. But
how long would that process take, roughly?
Okay, so I will give you an example. And the example is from this kid. Okay, so we will have he is now here. He's physically now in Canada. So we're going to go through everything we need. By September, we'll have a study permit. When the woman, let's say, has a study permit, the husband is here. In September, kids go to school.
Wow, for free.
For free.
Yeah.
The husband gets a work permit. Now, the husband would be saying, where do I get a job? And I would say, this I cannot give you the answer, but I can give you the open work permit, and you can go and be employed anywhere you want. Mind you, the wife who has a study permit will have the work permit allowing her to work for 20 hours per week. So the wife can also work, okay?
It's definitely a complicated process, and we will not get too much into it right now. We don't want to confuse our viewers. If they're interested, of course, they need to talk to a professional, like you say. But just one more question regarding the process and the different routes to immigrate. I remember a few years ago there was also a Jewish community.
Jewish community of Nova Scotia and of Manitoba have been offering this. To the best of my knowledge, it is, but that's not what I do.
Why not?
I don't do it.
Why you're not interested in it?
Because we are far away from there, and because you can never have a certainty.
Uh-huh.
They are choosing at their own discretion. You can apply, and you can never be picked up. You can, but maybe you can't as well. So therefore,
and you're going more towards a definite route.
I am going the definite route. But what I would love to actually continue, because I think it's important. Those programs are for the ones who don't have other options. But a lot of Israelis, and we're now in the middle of several cases for our Israeli clients who have their businesses and we're opening for them the Canadian branch companies. The branch companies of their Israeli mother companies, and we're bringing them on intra-company transferee. Okay, and this is if it's a good solid business, and if we can create a good solid case, it's practically we prepare everything. We prepare the business plan, we incorporate the company, we do everything, and people and the Israelis, they come and they get the work permit at the border. Now it's all the people. They would have a 1-year work permit. The family can come when they have the work permit in their hands. The family will come two weeks later, and we will always guide how they should be arriving, because they have to be arriving very, very careful. They have to be prepared for the conversation with the officers at the port of entry, CBSA. Today we had a situation. Okay, actually, as I walked to the office, I had a client who wanted to hire me from States. His son is coming to Montreal. He wants to put the kid to school, and that's how he wants to eventually immigrate him. So the officer at the border in the airport in Montreal was questioning him, and actually questioning him hardly and badly, and he ended up giving him just 14 days visa to Canada.
Wow.
So we now need to rush to apply for the visa extension to make sure that otherwise he would have half a year, right?
Jane, tell me, what is better? If to take an immigration specialist in your origin country or in Canada?
If you are overseas, and if you decided on the strategy that you are going to be pursuing, Of course, it's good to have us in your pocket and to be able to call us and to talk to us. And we are hired by these people from Israel that we are doing the intra-company transferring now. Of course, we are retained by them and we are working already while they are there. We are creating a case.
Right.
There's a case, there's a case. So cases, by the time they are ready, they are fat, right? They are big.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what a case is. And this requires time. And I always say, if you want to drink good wine, you are not picking up the wine which was done this summer. You are looking into 2017 if you have enough money for
experience
1995.
and a long time.
You cannot have a good solid case if you didn't build it well.
How do you see the trends going on forward? Do you think people will move more around the world, relocate? Do you think, because we've been through 2 years of COVID, now a war in Europe. How do you see the future in terms of global mobility?
I am absolutely sure that people will do everything they can to get the best passport they can, right? Because it will take them around the world. For Israelis, who are big patriots, and so am I, because I am a Jew and I love Israel, okay? Sometimes they feel that Canadian passport is, and I know that my Israeli clients sometimes stay here to get the passport before they maybe even decide to go back, right? Because there are different lives and there are different stories. So for somebody, Canadian passport is the ultimate dream. Good passport is good because good passport takes you everywhere. But when the good passport is in your hand, you are start to thinking about money and about comfort. And Canada is cold and state is questionable, right? So then they start looking into Europe because Europe is close by, because it's warmer, because can be very comfortable, and you can save money on the taxes. So for Canadians who are actually retiring, some are looking to Antigua, and I'm doing 2 cases to Antigua because they want to be there on the water. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And also it's tax haven, right? So it's just like I always say, what we do depends on the story of our client. And first I hear the story. And first I understand what is the ultimate goal. And then
everything starts with a story, eh?
Everything starts with a story. Just like you have a story,
of course,
I have a story, and everyone who is listening has his own story. And we have to love our stories, and we have to do everything to make sure that we go where it's best for us at our given time of life, because we are getting older and our priorities change. And as they change, we want to find ourselves where it's best for us.
I agree with you 100%. Jane Katakova, first of all, let's pray together that the war in Europe will end as soon as possible and life will go back to normality. I would like to thank you for the very interesting information, and of course we will add a link to your website, Jane Katakova and Associates, Canadian Immigration Experts and Global Mobility. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your story, like I will. Thank you so much, Jane.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good day.